face the full power of the dark side. Good!
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Misa back!
Prepare to fire!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 11, recorded on Tuesday, November 4th, 2014. I'm your host, Fred, aka Sith Lord Corv. And joining me tonight is our light side agent, Agent Olan.
Hello, Fred. Thank you for the warm intro. Hello, everyone on Twitch, YouTube. Greetings from Imperial Intelligence.
And also joining us is our dark side smuggler, Captain Kimbray.
Hello, everyone.
ID10T's here as well.
Get away from this stupid droid.
Oh, what's that leaking out of him, Lou?
I have no idea, but it's getting all... jeez.
He shouldn't even have something green in him. What is that?
Hydraulic fluid, I don't know. I'll have to look at him later.
Grab a napkin.
Or two. Or the whole pack. Get the whole pack.
Wipe it up with Treek. She's observant.
Here's Kimbray's other jacket.
No!
Wipe it up, Lou.
Put the jacket down.
And speaking of other disgusting things, hi, Treek. You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. We're now available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWTORNetwork.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast, and you can tweet us at StarWarsBeyond. We normally record this show live on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/NoSHTGaming. So, Paige, what's coming up in the Captain's Log tonight?
Coming up in the Captain's Log, we have our last week in game. We have a discussion topic where we talk about improving the Radical event. We have Agent Olan's intelligence report where Lou will present Lightsaber Combat Part 3, plus the weekly winner of the Agent Star Wars Trivia Question of the Week, and your feedback in our community holo feed.
Alright, and as always, we do have something quick to mention. Actually, a couple of items. And this is coming from Eric Musco from SWTOR's main website, which is from today. And he says, "Hey folks, as many of you know, we will be streaming around each individual advanced class and the changes coming to their disciplines in 3.0. We will be starting those streams this week and do one set of base class mirrors each week for the 3 weeks thereafter. Here is our currently planned schedule. As always, this could change, but here's our plan as of right now. So the first stream, this Friday, November 7th, the Bounty Hunter and Trooper. Thursday, November 13th, the Inquisitor and Consular. Friday, November 21st, the Warrior and Knight. And lastly, Wednesday, November 26th, the Agent and Smuggler. Thanks everyone. We'll see you on stream to talk about all the changes coming to in 3.0. And this is just another follow-up question from the fans who said, this is from Renedigus. Hopefully I didn't destroy this person's name. This person asks, will these be developer streams or community streams? And this is the answer from Eric, developer. It will likely be myself and David Demaray. And also, just another quick follow-up with that. There were additional slight follow-ups from Eric in exchange with the community, and one of Eric's answers is, their goal. I'm just paraphrasing for him now, but it's on the website. Our goal would be to hit around 1 hour in length. Although I certainly understand going through 6 disciplines will take a while. The target is 1 hour, but we will go as long as we need. So, they're shooting. They're going to shoot for a minimum of an hour, and in another follow-up from Eric, he is saying, they'll have 2 full hours blocked out and ready if they need to. So he's just explaining.
I don't even know if 2 hours is going to be enough.
Well, if I read this correctly, he and David Desmarais are probably going to do at least, like, for example, 1 hour on the bounty hunter, and the next hour is going to be covering the trooper.
Yeah, but if they're talking about doing all of the advanced classes, that means they have 2 solid advanced classes that are mirrored here that they need to talk about. And there's going to be people in the chat that have a lot of in-depth questions that are going to be asked. Right. I don't know if 2 hours is going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, all right, an hour on the bounty hunter. Okay, so you're going to talk about, what are you going to split a half hour for the power tech and then a half hour for the mercenary? I don't think that does them justice. It won't. I don't think it gives the developer, it doesn't give David Desmarais enough time to actually fully explain, or at least get their, the dev's idea across to the community properly.
I mean, to be completely honest here, I think this is kind of crappy, and they should have done 8 separate streams where they talk about each advanced class. Not try to lump the base classes together, because that's just going to confuse people too.
Right, and you're right. Obviously, I'm glad they're actually, and we caveat that, I'm glad they're actually doing the live streams and covering the disciplines for the advanced classes, but I really think, just for me personally, I think they should have started doing this a long time ago. Like the moment they announced SOR and they announced the changes, that should have been the agenda. All right, we announced Shaz Rabin. The following week, you say, all right, there are major changes. We're introducing the discipline system. Boom, Friday. We're going to cover this. This one archetype. We're going to cover the bounty hunter. So for 2-3 hours, we're going to answer your questions and cover, any issues that you may have and explain what exactly is the reason behind the changes to the power tech, and the changes to the mercenary.
Well, I really get the impression that they didn't have the other changes ready, and that's why they didn't talk about them yet. Like when they did the first stream, I think that all they had ready was the Sage and Sork tree to show people.
Right. And I think that was brought up, and I think they did. I don't know if they admitted to it, but they said, yeah, this is one they were ready to show everyone. Which, to me, kind of concerned me because you're kind of saying at the 11th hour.
I know the expansion's due out in a month and a half, and we don't have any of the other classes done.
Right, we're only ready to show you this. I'm like, sorry, that's the wrong answer. You should fully go to this stream with a full comment saying, yes, this is the sorcerer discipline tree. This is it. Barring any immediate change, this is the final product as of now. And again, padded with the fact that it may change, but this is it.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm hoping that their resources were better spent doing the actual expansion content, like the planets. Well, the planet and the moon that we're going to be able to go to. Mm-hmm. I'm optimistic about that. As a fan of this game, I'm choosing to be optimistic right now and assuming that they invested that time into assets that they should have over time.
Right.
Other things like making the Togruta pretty awesome. Important things. And and I'm hoping that, well, what I really think is they're doing these class changes, and what's going to be there when the expansion first hits is just going to be a rough draft, because they're going to tweak it by how they see it react once players get their hands on it.
Right, and I had no real problem with that, but the fact, what I'm asking for is the fact everything it should be done. I mean, there should be no rough draft. Like, all right, this is what we envision. These are our envision changes for the operative. Our envision changes for the sniper. This is what we want the warrior to look like. This is what we want the marauder to look like. This is what we want the juggernaut to look like, and then go from there. So, all right, this is what we have. We gave it to the player base. let's see them fix it, wreck it, improve it. Let's see how it works when it actually goes live.
We should never be seeing the player base fix it.
All right, yeah.
That's a problem if the players are having to fix things for them.
Let me rephrase that. Let's have the player base try and break it and see what the weaknesses, that are in, that we put in there, that we may have inadvertently put in there, and work on it. Because again, there's always that difference that exists between the test environment and actual, once it's out there.
Yeah, especially when you're choosing to do a closed testing environment for the new expansion. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole other story. And speaking of other stories, let's go ahead and move into the captain's log. And Paige, why don't you tell us about what you did in game over the last week?
I did a lot. No, it doesn't feel like I did a lot. I did the Rackle event on my assassin pretty successfully. Normally I have Kimval out with me just because he's my tank. But I did have Treek with me while I was down there because I figured maybe she could keep the boogers away with her stank. She didn't. They don't have noses, so that didn't work out for me. For the first few days, rather, every Heart of the Infection ops group that I got in was a total failure. I'd be DPSing my boots off, and I'd look around, and more than half the raid team would be dead, and people were just dropping like flies. So, of course, I'd, walk away and vanish.
I mean, I could definitely attest to, I would glance over at your computer sometimes when you're in that ops group, and for no apparent reason, just half the group would just die all at once.
I think people were standing in the poo. Just being real, because they're like, oh yeah, who cares? I'm just going to stand right here and cast. I don't know. I really don't know what people were doing because I was focused.
This boss has one mechanic, and I'm going to choose not to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to choose to ignore it.
I mean, in my opinion, if I'm still alive, I'm doing something right. So, I'm focusing, and I look around and oh my God, he's going to turn to me eventually.
What really killed me, though, was the time that you told me somebody actually kicked you out of that group because they said your gear wasn't good enough. And everybody gets bolstered.
No, he, wasn't even near me. This guy asked me how good my gear was to do this. I think he wanted to do the heroic mode. I was nowhere near the entrance to the raid. I was somewhere else, and I was fighting, so I wasn't whispering him back, because I'm not trying to die. So he just kicks me.
Wow.
Which, I'm fine with. But I did eventually get into a decent group, and the boss was at about 25 cent. 25 cent.
Wow, that's a cheap boss.
Yeah.
Well,
That's all BioWare spent to make him.
25 cents worth of labor.
Goodness. It's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those nights for me. Okay. The boss was at about 25% when Fred starts pointing at a buff on my character on my screen and going, mouse over that and tell me if it says, and I don't know what he said because I already forgot. Bolstered. He wanted to know if I was bolstered. The point was, I'm like a cat, and when something else enters my line of sight, I have to pay attention to it. Like I'm mesmerized by it. Like I'm immediately just done with everything else. So I look away because he's pointing at something, and I'm focused on where his finger is pointing, and then I look down and I'm dead.
And mind you, my finger was just pointing to another part of the same screen.
I can't focus. I was done. My eyes went immediately to where you were pointing. I was probably standing in the poo. But the boss went down, so that's the important thing. And I'm going to save any other comments I have on the Rackle Plague for a discussion topic. And, well, my opinion on it. But moving on, Fred and I did play his gunslinger, my commando. The only thing that seemed to prove a challenge to us was when we were on Terrace. We did Heroic 4 called Follow the Locust. But I think the only reason that actually ended up being a challenge to us was because our tank, which is Corso, hadn't been upgraded in a while.
Corso was wearing level 9 and 11 greens on Terrace.
Yes, he was. But eventually that was taken care of, and it's been smooth sailing since then. My commando's now 32, I believe. His gunslinger's 31. We're starting Alderaan now. On that pair, we also did the Radical event when we deemed level 25, and we duoed the heroic for Flora and Fauna, which the only issue we seemed to have duoing that heroic 4 was that it took us a while to work down the champions. So we'd sometimes have some respawns pop up, and we never actually wiped. One of us would die, the other one would get away, so that says something. And then, for some reason, and I don't know why, Sunday night, I made a consular, and I decided to go light side. And I don't know why I did this, because I can't even explain it. And the only thing I can come up with is I just might be curious how the story goes when you don't go dark side, as I do have a mirror to my assassin main that really likes to make all the horrible and fun decisions. So I guess it's just curiosity. I want to know.
Well, that came to be because our mains on Jedi Covenant, I play an agent that's light side, and Paige plays an assassin that's dark side. And one day, we had pretty much done all of the group stuff that we wanted to do at the time. This is before Forged Alliance and all that came out. So I'm like, I know, why don't we make complete mirrors of these characters over on the Republic side? I'll make a scoundrel and you make a shadow, and I'll go light side, you go dark side. And of course, we linked them together somehow through the family tree. These characters are related. And basically, I decided I'm not a smuggler on him. I am a Republic officer, and like at my earliest convenience, I got him the uniform you can get through doing the normal space missions.
You got the yeah, I know what uniform you're talking about.
Yeah, he looks like a Republic officer and used the captain title, so it fits.
I'm the only captain around these parts, you see.
Yeah. Well, I use captain there like a military rank, like how the trooper gets captain. Trooper has to work a lot harder to be a captain than a smuggler does. But yeah, so that's how those characters came to be. So, Lou, what did you do over the last week?
Got a jump start. Well, was actually looking forward to the Radical Madness. Again, just another event that I want to take part in. So, I had all of my current 55s on Jedi Covenant were doing it. So, literally just logging on. And, for the first part of my gameplay day would be literally just knocking out the Radical events on all my characters I want to deal with. So, it was, log on to the Sentinel, pick up the quest, do all the quests, turn on the comms, log out really quick, go on to the next character. Just knock them all out and just keep raising my rep as much as I could before I hit the limit. So, that's what I was doing. And, at this point, I even took a couple of my low-level alts to run the Radical event stuff. Just to get some quick and easy XP and credits. I especially ran it on my power tech, since she's only 24. I had her do it and run through it, and I also ran it on my my sniper. And one thing I wanted to mention too. Well, you know what? I may save this for a discussion topic. So yeah, maybe I'll say that one point later on. I'll move on to the next point I wanted to bring up. During the event, I saved up enough comms from the Radical event, and I bought a few of the things there on the vendor. So I kind of like the single saber hilts, so I bought a couple of them for my Marauder and my Sentinel, and I just bought one for my Sorcerer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You're the first person I've heard that actually likes the way those lightsabers look.
I mean, they're not too bad. I mean, there are better ones out there, but I have the comms. And the armor I really won't use on any of my characters. Not that I don't like the armor, it's the fact that I don't like the way it looks, and it doesn't fit what I want my characters to look, to look like. So it's not a slight against that. It's just that I don't want that look on my, I wouldn't want that look on my agent. I wouldn't want that look on my sorcerer, or what have you. So I was like, I mean, let's just buy something with it.
I mean, to be completely honest, I think that they did it backwards. The black and yellow armor set should be the one that you need the high rep for, because the green one's ugly.
Yeah, the green one's...
And can you just imagine how cool the weapons would look if they had them where they match the black and yellow armor?
Mm-hmm. And
And they
Yeah.
messed up too, because if you get the bracers to the black armor set, they're green. They match the green set. And I put in a bug report for that the first time this event came in, and it still hasn't been fixed.
Oh, they'll get to it eventually. Soon. Trademark.
After nobody's doing the event anymore and everybody has maxed rep.
Soon. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the look. I mean, there are worse looking saber hills in the game. These aren't that bad. At least for me, they're not that bad looking. It kind of looks like a, I guess, kind of like a torch, with the way that you have those 3 prongs coming out of the emitter array. It's like, okay, that's not too bad. I guess I could deal with that. So I bought those, and later tonight or tomorrow, I'm gonna start swapping out all the mods and the crystals on those characters and put them in, give them a whirl. But next time, though, when the event comes back, because it will, folks, the records always come back. I'm saving up some cons where I actually am going to cave in and get the blaster rifle, at least for my operative, just to give him another rifle to toy around with, and the blaster pistol for my power attack.
Do you have the DNA for that now?
God, I don't remember.
Because the vendor sticks around on Arshada. So if you have the Reckle DNA, you can go to the Thorn hideout on the promenade and buy it there.
Yeah, I'll have to check, because I know I'm moving stuff around on my characters. So I have to take a look. Good point.
Which is fun because like the Narshadon Nightlife event that ended, if you go to those casinos now, which I had to as one of my class stories, all of the machines you could play on are completely gone, and there's just the one NPC that sells you the rewards still there. It's like the loneliest guy on Narshadon. Like somebody stole all of the slot machines, but I'm still here.
Like when they steal the ATMs, they stole them, broke them open, stole all the money.
Like, why do they have to take the machines away? Couldn't they have just replaced them with like dummy machines that you couldn't play on, like decorations?
Yeah,
right.
like
they could have made like the rest of the background, like the rest of the background stuff in the zone.
Like, put the machines there and put up like those little brass posts with the little red line blocking people off so you can't get to them.
Yes, the little barriers, little barricades.
Yeah, that'd be great if the machines were still there and blocked off until the next event.
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good idea, because then when you think about it, where that NPC is, it's like, why it doesn't make sense for you to be in a space like this and there's nothing around you. Unless you would actually... He's
still behind the little counter where he was before, just nobody else is there. Like, the whole place is vacant.
Right. And the thing, though, if the stuff was still there, it would make sense, because then he's just, that one employee hanging out in that area, because that's his spot.
The Huts really didn't like him.
Yeah. Well, it could be worse. He could be cleaning the bathrooms for the Huts.
Ooh.
It might not be so bad. I mean...
What?
I don't think the Huts are equipped to really dirty a bathroom.
You know what? Let's not find out.
Yeah.
But as of yesterday, though, by late Sunday, early Monday, I was actually able to at least get hero status before I hit the limit. So, which is cool. And of course, that allowed me to get the stuff I mentioned earlier. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I started working on my Sentinel. That was one of the characters I was focusing on, at least for the past couple of days. Like, once I was done with the dailies, I'd actually go back onto her and start working on her again, because, as I mentioned last time, again, I'm building up her credit base because I'm trying to get Doc geared up decently so he can survive, take at least a couple of hits. Because I made the mistake of bringing him to where did I go to take him out first? I think Elam, to do the dailies there, and he was still in the gear that I had when I first got him, so he didn't quite last too long. Okay. Really couldn't take a hit. I was like,
oh my gosh, and you get him on Balmora, so he was in Republic side Balmora, so he was probably in level either high 30s, mid 30s gear, something like that, on Ilum, so his gear was only almost 20 levels lower.
20 levels lower, so yeah, 1 or 2 hits, yeah, he was going down. So then I realized, oh crap, I haven't been upgrading him. So that's why I was like, I should work on this. But at least over the weekend, I got up to the point where I saved up enough to where I at least bumped him up to over 22. He's almost up to 23k in health. So he is lasting a little bit longer. He's able to survive. So now I am starting to use him more often. I'm getting used to him. But in the end, it just feels like being my Marauder and using Quinn. There are times I really just want to shut his dialogue off. Like, you know what? Just keep quiet, man. Just heal me. I don't need to hear your dialogue. Just heal.
Most people feel that way, like about Treek.
Shamaziki!
Yep.
Why do you keep blowing that damn horn? Stop it.
That's the horn of Gondor.
Or spinning, that bolo she has. Like, what are you doing with that?
That is no orc horn.
No, that's like the coolest heal in the game, though, when she spins that thing and throws it at you.
You would think, getting hit in the face with a ball.
Yeah,
would
exactly.
hurt.
When I first saw her when she first came out, I was like, what the hell is she doing?
I think how she swings it over her head, like, yeah. I love Treek. I don't care what anybody says.
It'd be great if it tripped your character while she was healing.
I was just about to say that. Wouldn't it be great? As a great Easter egg joke from the devs at the player base. Yeah, when you see that power, it shits you up or hits you in the face.
Like
1 point of damage.
I have a I have a tangent. Speaking of being hit in the face, Fred's gunslinger happens to be Sith pureblood, so he has the ability to, I don't know what it's called. Is it punish or slap the companion?
Punish, yeah.
Yeah, punish. Okay, so I don't know what we were doing, but I was really zoomed in on Corso when he slapped Corso. If you look closely, you see them close their eyes and wince their face as they're being struck. And it's so funny. Oh, that's awful. I should.
What's even funnier is the way they cry afterward.
If all it takes is one slap to make him cry, never mind.
It's probably the Star Wars equivalent of the Pavlovian response.
Well, to be fair, it isn't exactly like a little tap. I mean, you're completely reeling your arm back and slapping them with your full might with the back of your hand. And, I mean, to be honest, if that happened to me in real life and another grown man hit me with the back of his hand, I might cry.
Yeah, but Corso gets shot.
He's wearing armor where he gets shot. Nobody shoots him in the face.
Well, that's why they're bad.
That's why he lives, no matter how many times he goes down.
What's that movie? Dumb and Dumber. What if they shoot him in the face?
That's the risk we're willing to take.
Okay, sorry, tangent.
Yeah. And then, just at the top of my week, I did get infected a couple times in the fleet while I was looking at the GTN for Doc's gear. Because I would just so get completely, immersed into what will work. Like this worked better for him. This worked better for him. All of a sudden, you hit, oh, boom! You bleeping bastard! From players blowing up, going for that achievement. It's like, you jerks. This is why I don't come to the fleet. I always get that momentary last one. Yeah, I'll go ahead to the fleet. And you realize this is why I don't come to the fleet, because people do crazy things like this. This is why I use the GTN on my ships, or I go planet side.
Yep.
Oh, Nar Shaddaa not that far away? I'll go there. What, Dromakaz not that far away? I'll go to the GTN there.
Huh.
I'll go there.
Sad thing, Lou, I couldn't tell you where the GTN terminal is on half the planets except for Dromakaz.
That's okay.
I'm bad. If I don't have to get off my ship, I don't. It's just like real life. I don't leave my house if I don't have to.
Oh, Nar Shaddaa, too. I know where that one is.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't think of a GTN terminal on any other planet.
No, I think it's just the Capital World and Nar Shaddaa. So I haven't seen one ever on, you don't see one on Corellia. You don't see one on Alderaan.
Well, Jedi Covenant, I have all the unlocks, so I have one right on my ship. But over on Shadowlands, I actually have to go seek one out.
Yeah, I know. That's why I miss it when I play my character in Shadowlands. Like, I don't have anything unlocked there. Like, damn it!
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what I did over the last week, which I actually spent a ton of time in game over the last week because I had a couple days off in there. I spent the majority of my time on Shadowlands over the last week because the Rakul event was here, and on Jedi Covenant I'm already legendary with Thorn.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I was going to take advantage of the Rakul event and do it every single day with both of my 55 characters. Which I'm glad I only had 255s on Shadowlands, or else I'd have been doing what you did, Lou, and doing it on everybody, because that's what I did the first time around on Jedi Covenant. But it's a lot more fun when you only have 255s and you do it on both of them and you're completely done with it all in like an hour. But because I'm lazy, I also decided that I was only going to do the Thorn dailies for that entire week. I wasn't going to run between CZ 198 and Black Hole and all that. Like, I'm just going to stay right here over by the Thorn camp and just do this. And I actually got frustrated when I had to leave the Spike to go cure the soldiers. Like,
oh yeah, did that one quest where you have to cure the citizen soldiers by the spaceport?
yeah. And I'll also say the whole infecting people daily, I hate that one. Like, I don't even participate in that one ever now. Like, I did it the first time around, and now as soon as Rackle event hits, I make sure every single one of my characters has the cure on them.
Yep, I even buy several vials just in case by some stupid mistake I die. I was like, you're not getting me.
Oh no, that's why you get one of those. You get one of those Thorn relics, even if it's the level 25 one, and you carry it on your high level character's bag, so you can just equip it and put the cure on yourself real quick. Then you don't need to keep buying them.
Yeah, well, I only buy I buy a stack of 4 for each character, so once that's it, that's done.
Yeah, but that's like 20k, Lou.
Which you can make in like 2 quests.
Oh, screw that! I already spent 5k to buy the little relic, so I'm just gonna use infinite cures. You don't understand how cheap I am, Lou. 20k is 20k. That's 20,000 credits. That's 20,000 of that little medical table I could buy. Think of that.
Yeah.
20,000 things that should have been in cartel packs that they give me for free worth of stuff. It's an interesting way to think of it, isn't it? So anyway, my gunslinger that I play with Paige is up to level 31 now. And we got to the point finally where the end of Nar Shaddaa got completely gray to us.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we overleveled because these are the two we were doing every quest on that we came to. So we got to the point where we're finally like, all right, we need to skip a couple planets and get back to the point where we're actually getting XP for doing these quests. But that's counterproductive when you're getting 12 times XP for class quests because they just push you to keep skipping more planets.
Right, yeah. Or, at the most part, you're just skipping all the other content. You're just strictly adhering to your class quests, but you're missing the rest of the story on the planet.
Yeah. Alright. Then next, my mercenary, I got up to level 35. And I finished Alderaan. And then I realized something that I was trying to get, I should have been given at the end of Alderaan, but I wasn't given it because I made a stupid decision in my class quest that I shouldn't have made. So rather than just grinning and bearing it and pushing this character to 55 anyway, I deleted him and I remade him. And it took me about 4 hours to get from the beginning of Hutta to the end of Alderaan again.
Nice.
Like, I completely just sped run. Like, since I just watched all of these cutscenes a few days before, I just spacebarred all of them to get right back to the point where I wanted to be at and made the right decision and got what I was seeking to get. And now I'm happy with the character again.
Okay.
Because
That's good.
I'm so OCD about it. Like, when I realized that I messed up my class quest, and you get something tangible for doing the quest this certain way. Like, this isn't just a matter of, oh, well, I made a story decision I'm not happy with. No, you actually get I don't want to say physical because it's all digital, but you actually get a reward for doing it this way. And I wanted that reward. It was something that I had chosen to shape my character going forward, and I didn't get it because I made the wrong decision. So in my mind, it was worth deleting him and remaking him rather than get him to 55 and be infinitely unhappy with him.
Right, at least, this is a good way to take advantage of the 12 times XP.
Yeah. I mean, he was made with the 12 times XP anyway, so...
Yikes. Could you imagine trying to do it if you didn't have that boost? You're like, oh, well, I just have to start over.
Well, what took 4 hours with the boost, Alderaan, it probably would have taken me a good 20-plus hours to get there.
Yikes.
I think it's about 20 hours to get through Alderaan.
Or at least get to that point.
I mean, I'm sure somebody can do it faster, but typically when I play a character, I don't spacebar through the cutscenes. Like, I actually watch them. I watch my character react to these NPCs, and I choose my answers with a little bit of care, even for the side quests. So when 12 times XP isn't going on, it takes me a good while to get through planets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably on any given planet for 5 or 6 hours. Except for probably the starter planet and Drummond Koss, because I fly through those.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start getting into bigger planets, it takes longer. And then I was motivated to push my agent that I had made from level 40 to the end of his class story. Which, the end of his class story, I was a little bit frustrated because I was aware that there was an alternate path to ending the agent story that I was interested in pursuing, but I didn't realize that that opportunity had presented itself when it did, and by the time I realized that, I hit the escape button, but it didn't end the cutscene. It still pushed me forward in the story.
Oh, it was too late.
Well, why didn't you delete and remake him then?
Because there's no tangible reward for doing that way. Like, it doesn't give you anything different. It's just, that is just a story thing.
Okay.
Like, with the bounty hunter, there was something that I wanted to have that other people could see, and I didn't get it because I was stupid. But anyway, I did the agent, got all the way through his class story, which I will point out, this is the only class story that I've actually finished on Shadowlands so far. I have 2 55s. As soon as they got to 55, I just quit doing the class story because I'm not that motivated to finish those stories again. Agent story is so good, though, I couldn't stop it. Like, the other two got up to the point where they need to do what they got to do on Corellia, and I just haven't done it yet. Agent story, it's hitting a climax when you get there, and you're like, oh, what happens next? What happens next? And it's been over a year since I did the agent story, and I gotta admit, like, I had forgotten a lot of the stuff toward the end of it, and I actually had forgotten some of the finer details of how it does end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's what I experienced when I play my sniper. The fact that there are some parts it's been so long since my operative was one of the first characters I ever leveled in SWTOR. When the game first came out. So by like maybe, gotta remember, by late January, early February, my operative was already 50.
Yeah.
And so I literally had not seen the agent story for so long. I remember the great parts of it, but like the little side stories, little side comments, conversations you have during these cutscenes, I don't remember them all in detail. So now that I'm playing my sniper, I get to see them all again. Like, damn, did I make that decision by my operative? I don't remember this.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't actually leveled up a sniper yet. I have one that's level 25 on Jedi Covenant, which that's actually in the plan for the next week. Is I'm going to go back to Jedi Covenant and start pushing some of my characters that are in the mid 40s toward 55. Because the only character right now that I have 2 that I want to push to 55 over on Shadowlands, and that is the Bounty Hunter Mercenary. I'd like to get him to 55, or at least level 50. And the Gunslinger, I want to get to at least level 50 before the 12 times XP is over. And that's my short-term goals on Shadowlands. But over on Jedi Covenant, I was counting them out. I think I have 5 or 6 characters I want to push to 55 that are real close. Mm-hmm. Like, my trooper has been level 41 on Jedi Covenant for I don't know how long, and I just want to push him to the end, finish that class story, get him to at least 50 so that I unlock the sticky grenade for my legacy.
Right.
Because he's almost there. Like, the finish line is within sight.
May as well,
Yeah.
Just do it.
And then I got that sniper that's level 25, and he's going dark side. I haven't seen the agent story from the dark side yet, so I kind of want to push him through and see how it ends when you actually go dark side.
Okay.
Because unintentionally, there's multiple light side ways that it can end, which I think there may be multiple dark side ways as well. But because I didn't realize the opportunity that presented itself when it did, I accidentally finished the story the same exact way that I played it through the first time. Which I wasn't disappointed because it was a good story. But I had wanted to do it differently so I could see the alternate light side.
Right.
Ending.
Yeah, you just want to see the alternate endings. Yeah.
And now that's going to require me to make another agent, which I probably will. I'll make a sniper on Shadowlands at some point and go through light side. Because I got the dark side sniper over on Jedi Covenant. God knows I won't make a Togruta sniper, though, because I don't want the gun sticking through a Leiku for its entire existence.
Oh, you know you will.
No.
You will.
I assure you right now, Lou, any Togruta that I make will either be a bounty hunter, a gunslinger, or it will be a force user that's going to have lightsabers on its side.
Oh, but remember, you're going to have to deal with the fact that the first few levels, you're going to have that training saber cutting through.
No, the first few levels, I will unequip my weapon and use my force powers. And I will unlock HK at level 1 and just let him fight everything for me till I get a lightsaber. Or no, you know what you can do? You can unlock a lightsaber in your collections and just have a lightsaber at level 1.
I was going to say, maybe you should go that route.
Yeah. They were like, hey, wait, you're new to the account. Why do you have a lightsaber already?
Because I'm good.
Because I'm amazing.
Well, I'm just like Jaden Core. My whole reason for being here is because I fashioned a lightsaber and it's impossible.
You know, I had no formal training. The Force just got to make me my saber. Master Skywalker heard about it.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes with this nifty yellow lightsaber crystal in it already, so I guess that's my color. So, Lou, I think it's about time we move on to our discussion topic.
Yes, but I will end with this, though. It's still a good game, though.
Oh, yeah.
Jedi Academy, folks. We're talking about Jedi Academy.
The only game that I've ever seen that has a Rodian that can speak basic. Because you can make Jaden Core be a Rodian.
Yeah, that's so weird, though.
Yeah, but because that exists, I think BioWare should let us play as Rodians.
Feedback. Let them know.
Jaden Core is my foundation for why I want to be able to play as a Rodian.
This is the basis of my argument, folks.
Like, I should record just this little video of me being Jaden Core at the very beginning when the guy's like, hey, what's your name? Oh, I'm Jaden Core. I made this lightsaber, and he's a Rodian. There you go. Let me play as this BioWare. Make it
you know what? You had nothing to lose and everything to gain. May as well. But as Fred was alluding to, yes, our next topic of discussion, we're going to bring up ideas, bring up the old think tag about improving the Rakul event. So we're going to talk briefly about the events that take place in the game and how we think they could be retooled to make them more interesting. All right? And again, specifically, this is going to be just about the Rakul event because it just happened.
So, what's your least favorite daily for that?
Blow up and infect people.
Yeah, that one just...
I choose not to do it because I hate it so much.
Well, there are ways you can get around not doing it. You can just inject yourself.
Oh, true, but it's still a daily.
True. I'd have to say my least favorite is navigating the tunnels. That's the one where you have to find the thorn beacons on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
They're so tiny, and I'm so blind, and they, despawn and respawn somewhere else. So I walk in circles for 7 years trying to find one little light. It's Shaduki. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Out of the ones that actually do it, I have to say Flora and Fauna is my least favorite because it actually requires me to find a group. And sometimes people just invite people, so I've ended up in a group where it's like 4 healers.
Oh, man. Really?
Takes forever.
He did.
And there's like a bug where sometimes you'll get invited to a group and your companion won't get dismissed. So it was like 4 healers and 3 treeks. Like, there's just heals going everywhere.
But nothing's dying.
I did see that same bug. We had a tanking treek and a tank. So that was fun.
And then there's another bug where you'll get in a group, and when you leave a group, your UI still has the little lock over your companion thing, so you can't just pull your companion back out. You got to open up the companion window and bring them out.
Right, I've seen that.
And I've encountered that regularly in Black Hole when we're doing the end of Torvix or chasing the Shadow. Someone will join the group, and they come in there, and their companions are still there.
Wow.
Do you have a quest that you enjoy? Wow, silence.
Crickets.
Yeah, no.
Like, I wouldn't say enjoy, but I think that the quest that I appreciate the most is the one where all I have to do is just go up to the spaceport and start curing sick soldiers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest one. I mean, I wouldn't say I have a favorite. It's just, which is the least painful to do. Or at least tiresome at this point, because we've all done the Grackle event before. So it's nothing new. It's just that, which the dailies takes the least amount of time, I guess. And it's the least amount of pain to do. Like, for example, like the one you just mentioned, Paige, the navigating tunnels. Yeah, that one can be a pain in the butt. Because of the way the beacons look. And, some of the stuff on the walls and the ceiling looks just like the beacon. Or
right,
glows just like the beacon.
That kind of glowy muck, I don't even know what it is, but those, like, pods or whatever, they glow. You're looking, you're like, is that one? You have to get really close to the screen. Like, I can't tell. Okay, no, it's not flashing.
And sometimes when you're actually looking for those, for the beacons, and if no one answers, hey, by the way, the lurker's coming, you're going to get one-shotted. One or two shots, you're going to get beat up really quick by the lurker.
Oh, my experience, though, the lurker doesn't aggro you unless you attack him first.
Yeah.
Well, unless some people, when you're actually... What's happened with me is that, I'm looking, like, I think one day, I actually was looking for the thing, for the, one of the beacons, and there was a group actually, they were trailing the lurker.
Just a whole bunch of people following behind.
Yeah, they were following.
Rackle.
They do. They just follow him in circles.
Yeah, they were waiting for him to spawn. And then they got the group together and then they attacked him. And I happened to be in the area, and of course, what happens when what happens? The companion starts to attack. Like, oh no, what are you doing? We're dead.
Something else that seems to be going on down there, and I know that there's an achievement for this, is that people will flag themselves and then they'll make you flag yourself by intentionally standing in an area where your AoE is going to hit them. So then they can gank you with a bunch of their friends. And I get why it would be a cool achievement, but they're doing that to people lower levels, and it's just not cool.
Actually, you don't get flagged unless you turn on your own PvP flag. They could stand in your AoE; they won't take any damage from it.
Well, people are saying that that's what happens. I don't know. I try not to use AoEs down there. I have no reason to.
Well, they do have some bug. I don't know what the bug is, but they have a way to force people to flag themselves, because they did that to me before during the Rackle event. But it's not getting stuck in your AoE, because when I was doing the Flora and Fauna one, 2 Imperials came right up to my Jedi when we were killing the big champion guy, and I was doing my force sweep over and over again, and they weren't taking any damage. It wasn't flagging me, and they were standing right on top of me. So they would have taken it if it would have hit them.
Well, I don't know what they're doing to people down there, but people are getting pissed off because they're getting flagged when they aren't meaning to, and then they're getting jumped by a bunch of people.
Well, I will say group members can flag you, because if somebody joins your group and they're flagged and you heal or buff them, you get flagged.
Yep.
But here's a little tip. If you ever get flagged and you're in the Rackle tunnels and you want to unflag yourself, all you got to do is open up the Galactic Starfighter window, enter the tutorial, and leave the tutorial, and you'll be unflagged when you come out. Little pro tip.
Enough. Neat.
I found that out because I was berating a guy in my group for flagging me, and he told me how to unflag myself.
Oh, very nice of him.
I'm like, you jerk, you got me flagged, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, if you want to unflag, just enter the tutorial and come out. And I'm like, you're still a jerk.
Still a jerk, we're doing it.
Here's some Twizzlers. Don't ask where they came from.
Have a Twizzler, and then I'll tell you where I got it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Paige.
I was just going to ask any other praises for the event or any more criticisms.
Well, I mean, I do like the fact that they are having the events. Like the Gree event, the Rackle event. Because they're fun to do. I mean, it's something else to do in the game.
Right.
Why does it take so long for these things to come back?
I think if they were too frequent, people wouldn't do them. Because you get, like, things that come back constantly. People complete the objectives and then have no desire to continue to do it. So it ends up being an event no one does.
Yeah, I mean, and two, some players may just get bored of it. If it happens too often, players may not want to do it because one, like you, Fred, like some of your characters on Jedi Covenant, most of them have already reached the end state with reputation with Thorn. So why even bother doing it on those characters anymore?
Yes. Now, see, now you have a good point there. But Lou, we came back to podcasting about this game early January of this year. In the time we've been back, the Rackle event has hit twice. We've had one Gree event.
I know, and I missed it.
Why is the Gree event not coming back more often? I'm not maxed out with Gree. They're oversaturating the newer stuff and not giving us the older event hardly ever.
It's true, and perhaps what the player base needs to do is actually bring that to their attention. Like, look, again, the player base appreciates the fact that you're bringing back the Rackle event, but there are other events that the players would like to see come back more often, or just as often as the Rackle event. Because like the Gree event, like I just mentioned before, I missed it. So I've never done any of the Gree stuff because of real life commitments. All of my characters, all this time, every time the Gree event came around, I've not been available to do it.
And the way that the Gree event works is you get more requests offered to you by getting to higher reputations. If they never do the event, you can never raise your reputation to get to those higher quests, especially when they do it and it's only around for a week.
Right. And, and if they're using, obviously using their own internal metrics to measure people doing these events, like, well, people really haven't been doing it. Well, you know what? It's kind of misleading because look how many times you released the Gree event.
Exactly. Well, when it first came out, they completely oversaturated it. So a bunch of people did it. Honestly, the Gree event shouldn't be an event. The Gree event should just be a persistent daily hub that's around, because when it first came out, it was out so often that a bunch of people did max out their reputation with it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter if that event comes back every once in a while now or not. Those people are never going back to it because they already got what they wanted from it. They should just leave it out for the people that aren't maxed out to get up there and come up with some new events.
Right, and that's also another suggestion that, that's been tossed around the forums for years. Like Buckeye just mentioned in the chat, yeah, Rackle's only been around for, 4 times? Since the game started. But because of what I do, I've only been able to participate in it, with any real commitment for the past 2 times. This past event and the one before that. Okay, the second time it came around, I was only able to do it maybe a couple of days.
The first time the event came out, the Rackle event, I did it on so many characters on Jedi Covenant that when the event was over, I had enough comms that I was literally 1 comm of any type away from Legendary by the time I was done consuming them all.
Right. I mean, with me, the very first time the Rackle event debuted, I was away with my unit. So I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, I was reading about it. Oh, look at the fun people having a Rackle event. The first, dynamic event for the game. Like, this sucks.
Oh, that's the unfortunate thing. It seems like every time they did an event, you were gone.
Yeah, I was gone. I was either at training or with my unit somewhere else. Like, damn it.
But I'm sure you remember when the Gree event first became a thing, it seemed like every weekend or every other weekend they were running the Gree event.
Right.
And then now it's to the point where you're lucky if they give it to you once every 6 months now.
And maybe that's something that they need to address. Once I hope once 3.0 releases, once Shadows of Revan is released, is that they'll go back and re-look, or take a look at the event schedule. Okay, because I think... didn't SWTOR Miner release something about what their proposed schedule was for the events anyway?
It was for Conquest events.
Oh yeah, damn, that's right. I went for the Conquest events, but hopefully, once Shadows of Revan releases, they can take a look at that schedule and say, all right, maybe we can update it and give something else for players to do. Like they can balance out between doing the new content with 3.0 and then give them also, hey, another week of agreement, another stuff, week of this.
I would love to see them do a new event that takes place on Wanon. Because everybody's talking about how it's such a big area and it should be utilized for more than just those flashpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice to see an event take place on Olan.
And you know what? They probably could.
Oh,
I mean,
they could probably do anything they wanted. It's just a matter of whether or not they will.
Right, and yeah, that bottom line, that's what it comes down to, is like whether or not they will do it, because they have the resources to do it. You know, they've got the zones built. Now it's just a matter of them, telling the dev teams, assigning them tasking. All right, come up with, a daily hub for these areas. Or another unique event that we can bring into the game that the players will like.
I understand that they don't want to invest resources in a whole bunch of like one-off events again, but it would be nice if even just once a year, if they put some kind of little event in there that you participate, you do a quest chain or whatever, and you get a unique title, that event is over once that is done. That way, like, people that are playing can still get unique things that people that start playing the game 2 years from now they'll see that title and be like, oh, how'd you get that? Oh, I participated in this event 2 years ago. Kind of like how some of us have the capable sentient and Imperial Loyalist and SIS Freelancer from the Chevin event.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to see things like that come out for newer characters that the old players have. Or even better, like, since they're not bringing those events back, how about making those titles like a legacy-wide thing where they send it to you in the mail for every new character?
Right, and you know what, that would be, I don't think that'd be too much to ask. I think that would be a legitimate request. Because, other games do that, where they have, those unique events to where the players that actively participated for the entire time, or if the game decides, all right, if you participate X amount of time, you get this. They stagger. So, all right, if you only have time to do this, this, and this, these are the rewards you get. And lots of times, that's something that a player can be proud of. And should be proud of, because they were able to take part in it and they did it. Whether it's a unique title or a unique piece of gear or a unique weapon.
Yeah, but I mean, lately it seems like any unique title that you can get needs to come out of a cartel pack, or it's just a legacy title. Like, they're not really too big on giving us titles anymore that are character specific.
Right. Again, maybe with 3.0, maybe, let's take a look, see what they're going to do for us.
Seems like titles and stuff like that, they get devalued when they're open to everyone, even everyone on your legacy. When you take a character, through an event or through a raid or whatever, and you get a title, it should be for that character. That's the character you earned it on. And it seems like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It seems like it's worthless when I sign in and I can apply 13 or 15 titles to myself and I'm level 1. How do I have a title? I just got here.
Well, not just that, but I mean the legacy titles, like how you could, for raising up my faction with the Kuat drive yards, like I can put on a title for my legacy underneath my name, depending on which faction I'm on. It'll say like Kuat drive yards defender or Kuat drive yards
Demolisher.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, that's cool and everything, but I would rather have that as a suffix title to my character's name than as this special legacy thing. Because to me, being an old school MMOer, it looks weird having an extra title under my character's name if I have a guild too. Like 3 rows of text just doesn't look right to me.
All right, and just to bring this back to the Rackle event, maybe that's something they can look to in the future. As time goes on, I mean, they do have, obviously, the titles you can earn as you raise your status with Thorn. But who's to say, at one point they can add additional side quests in there, like additional story stuff, during one of the events, like during one of the times they bring it back. Say, all right, you know what? For this particular event, we added another story arc to supplement it. And it's another 4 or 5 missions. Maybe a Heroic 2 or Heroic 4 tossed in there somewhere, and if you complete it all within the week that it's live, your character gets this title. And that's it. No one else gets it because it was only for that one particular instance in the event.
See, that's a good idea. And I would take it one step further, and I would say, like, this Thorn event, it should have started off on one planet. Like, the first one under this new system was on Alderaan, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it should have been on Alderaan with all these quests. And then they should have taken time and developed all new daily quests, another tunnel layout, and then put it on another planet. That way, every time this event comes back on the 3 different planets that it's open to, it should have a different set of quests. So it's not the same freaking event, no matter what planet it's on.
Lou, I think that was one of the things that you wanted to say, the point you wanted to come back to about the tunnel layout, how it's the same.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that, it's I mean, yeah, it is what it is, but it's just a little disappointing that they have all these different looks to all the different planets because they're different planets. You can tell you're on Alderaan. You can tell when you're on Boss. Same thing, if I bring in other sci-fi-based MMOs like Star Trek Online, when you're on another planet on Star Trek. Okay, when you're on Earth. Okay, when you're on Vulcan. Same thing, I should be able to tell exactly when I'm on Corellia, when I'm on Coruscant. Obviously, you can tell. And that's something I think they dropped the ball in when they brought in the Rackle events. Like, look, Corellia in no way is the same stuff as Tatooine, or the same stuff as Alderaan. Okay, I really think they could have given each of these zones for the Rackle event its own particular flavor.
And let's not forget how when the event comes to a planet, this giant Thorn Tower appears out of nowhere, and then as soon as the event's over, it just disappears again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used the analogy of World of Warcraft when the Dark Moon Fair was coming. For days before the fair actually begins, you would see the little NPCs setting up the tents and everything else.
Yeah.
So why can't Thorn show up a few days earlier and that spike just progressively starts building itself?
Right, like you could actually have, like, however Thorn deploys the spike, whether it's shot from a Star Cruiser from orbit, or they bring in a low atmosphere craft, or ships, multiple ships that actually tractor it in. They find a spot, they do their little. You can see them conducting a search. Like, all right, where's the best place to put the spike? You'll have surveillance ships in the area around Corellia or in Alderaan, Tatooine, looking. Yeah, it's going to be in the zone, but you can see the ships looking in that zone, saying, all right, where are we going to drop this thing? Where's the best place to deploy it?
And when the spike goes away, there should be something there, like a pit in the ground or something. Like, even if it's Tatooine, it's in the middle of the desert. You should have, like, this low sand pit where the spike used to be, and it just filled in with sand when they pulled it out. Like, there should be something there showing that the spike used to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, everything's back to normal again. And when they put the spike down, no part of the spike should clip into the buildings around it.
To clip into the background?
Like, there's these big, I don't know what they are, they're just these big branch things that come off of the spike like a tree. Mm-hmm. And it reaches into part of the building on Corellia. And it's like, nobody noticed this? Like, I'm pretty sure, I've never built anything for Star Wars The Old Republic, obviously. But I've done a little bit of modding in Skyrim. And when you put a structure into the map, it shows you everything around where you're putting it. You mean to tell me they're not ever in, like, this overhead view and they go, oh, wait a minute, this is touching that. Let's move it back a little bit. Like, that never happened? Or how about we just take the weird branch things off of the spike since it's not really needed?
Does anyone have anything nice to say?
Well, yeah.
Thank God the event's over.
No. Well, I want to bring the point that Buckeye brings up a point. We can express all that we want for the change in the Rackle event, but if the population doesn't decline each time the event comes around, there is no reason for them to change it. Well, conversely, players will do it anyway because there's nothing else to do. They have to do it. If they want to do the Rackle event, they're going to do it anyway. They can moan and grumble and say, "Oh my God, it looks the same." And that's as far as it goes because they'll still do it because they have to. If they want to do the Rackle event, they got to go here.
Speaking of events, didn't Bounty Contract Week start again today? Is that next week?
I don't recall offhand. But, I just want to bring up that point of Buckeye. It's like, you know what? It's up to us, though, for the player base to say, we want some originality. You have the people, you have the talent. Let them do some little things. Additional things on the side to help the game, look better. And that's one thing I think they can do to help. When you say we're bringing back the event, it's if it's going to be on Quesh, it's going to look like Quesh, like you're on Quesh. You're on the area of Quesh.
All right, Bounty Contract Week starts November 11th.
All right, so next
Veterans Day.
That's next Tuesday.
Yes, yes.
Oh, all right. Let me take that even further. I mean, if we had a point or a quest like for the guild capital ships, okay, one thing I would love for them to do for PvP for guild capital ships, invading another guild's capital ship. Have it turn to space battle to you're actually invading that opposite faction's guild capital ship. Now you're taking a Harrower destroyer, and now a Republic faction guild is coming over, and they're taking their dreadnought. Okay, and they're coming after you, and now you have a chance to where the players now merge and it becomes a map.
Or even better, let's land on the Republic fleet and start wiping them out.
Right, and to me, I think it really would irk me because it's not the same engineering. If I saw the same exact layout from a destroyer on a Republic dreadnought, it's like no, different manufacturer. Different type of ship. Like, we've all been on these ships for each faction. Like, that doesn't make sense. The Empire doesn't. Imperial engineers don't put this stuff here. Don't put these tunnels here on the. No.
Although it's funny, we both want to take over Kuat drive yards.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great map. Or even better, not only for PvE, but for PvE content too. I mean, we do have the flashpoints there, okay? And I think they can expand on that too. Because KDY is huge.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, they should constantly be adding new scenarios to KDY. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many different areas to those drive yards you could go to.
Right, and people, it's kind of misleading when you see the flashpoint when you're introduced to the cutscene in KDY. Yeah, you see the rings around the planet. All right, the main part of the drive yards around the planet. But remember when I covered KDY covers the entire star system. All right, that's just one part of the facility. There's other stuff on the planet itself, on the moons. And it covers the entire star system. So there's other stuff out there that you can do.
Now, did it still cover all that in the Old Republic era, too? Or did they expand that way?
No, that's how it is. KDY, remember KDY is old.
Yeah.
It's like Zerka. Okay, Zerka, when you first meet them, KOTOR, okay, remember, and KOTOR is what? Almost 3,000, 800, 900 years before Phantom Menace takes place, or before the Battle of Yavin. And Zerka's still around. Technically still around, but under a different name when A New Hope comes out. So remember, you're talking about companies that are thousands of years old.
Oh, I will throw this in there, too. Like, this is just a random aside from playing through the Agent story very recently. Mm-hmm. When you play through the Agent story, you realize that intelligence really does have their hand in everything. Because you see NPCs from... I didn't pay that close of attention, but I know at least a handful of other classes' stories. Their NPCs come up in the Agent story. So, it all ties together. Like, the Agent is watching everything that's going on in the game.
Right. And they are, because that's their purview. That's why they were created. To be the eyes and ears for the Sith Empire. They're not only watching, their own citizens, but they're also watching every other threat out there in the galaxy, which includes the Republic and the Jedi.
And until you start playing through some of them stories, you really don't realize about just how often the two factions manage to get agents within each other.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. Which is why I always recommend players, if you're going to play the game, play all the stories. play them all because if you may have your preference whether you want to play Republic or Empire, but I always tell people, hey, that's great, but I really think you're denying yourself the pleasure of the other half of the story. I mean, there are 4 great stories on each side, and you're selling yourself short if you only play one faction. See the other side.
Remember the consular stories out there,
right? But
and the trooper.
Right, but you got to think about it. You have at least 4 stories on each side which you can play.
Yeah, I will say if it wasn't for the story, I probably would have never played Republic side at all. But the stories are so compelling, I just have to play every class.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the main appeals of the game is the fact that you have these great class stories that they wrote up, and you really do yourself a disservice if you only play one faction. Play them all.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Paige.
I can say that even though I've been less than thrilled, I wouldn't even say disappointed, but less than thrilled with some of the endings that I've seen so far, I can say that while I was actually playing the class story, I always needed to know what was going to happen next. Either because there's an enemy out there and you're like, I hate this son of a beast so much, I can't wait to shoot him in the face, or if it was like, man, I have to do this, I have to save this person, or whatever. No matter what it was, I always wanted to keep going with it. So they are very good stories, both sides, and playing them different ways changes it up too.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
I actually heard a suggestion on an episode of UtiniCast that I think might be a way for us to kind of play together, Paige, during 12 times XP, is that we both play the same class and we play through, like we help each other through the class stories, and one of us goes light side and one of us goes dark side. So we see in real time the differences in the story depending on the choice you make.
That's interesting. We may dabble in that, but there's so many characters we have that are so close to the end of the story that I have to get there. See, I have to know what happens.
I know. That's why Jedi Covenant's about to be a big push, because we're already into November and 12 times XP is done at the beginning of December. We have like a month left and then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all that said, Paige, what's our Star Wars recommendation of the week?
I'm going to tell you. For those interested in actually getting a look at the recommendation of the week, I'll be posting a link with a photo on the Facebook wall after the show has been released to iTunes. This week I was browsing Etsy because I'm a girl and we do things like that. And I typed in Star Wars toys and I was not disappointed. So this week I'm featuring something that I found on Etsy.com, and I'm going to read the description. This is a vintage Return of the Jedi Wicket lunchbox in red and a rare blue Wicket the Ewok roughneck flip-top flask, both by Thermos circa 1983. Very rare to get both Wicket lunchbox and the flask, so they're good collector pieces. The lunchbox is red, featuring Wicket and R2-D2. The flask is light blue, featuring Wicket swinging from a vine. Both are in great condition. Lunchbox has a few minor scratches and scuffs. Flask, a couple small scratches, and a date has started to fade. Label has started to fade and is a bit scuffed. And the price that this person has it listed for is $82.11. I don't know why we just didn't call it an even 82, but they really want that 11 cents.
Who the hell is Wicket the Ewok?
That's Treek's brother!
Oh, wait, no, retreat comes first, so let's see. 30,
It's disgusting.
years.
It looks like a panda with a rag on its face.
Listeners will be able to see that on the Facebook wall.
And why is it looking at all through R2-D2's ass?
It's a droid! How does it have an ass?
Look at it!
Today's showing of Return of the Jedi will be held today at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. For those who do not get the reference.
Wicket the frickin' Ewok is a rejected gummy bear.
Okay. I thought it was amazing. Obviously, Corv does not approve, because his lunch comes out of his robes.
That's not exactly true. It still comes out whether I'm wearing a robe or not.
Ugh.
And see, my new implant takes quarters.
What's a quarter?
These little coins with the Ewok faces on them.
Oh. How quaint.
I had them made just for this occasion. Here, Lou.
Thank you.
One of the listeners in the chat room explained that Wicket and T-Boo? They were in the cartoon. And if you look at the picture, Fred, they are cartoon characters.
Star Wars wasn't a damn cartoon.
All right.
Next thing you know, he'll deny the Christmas special ever happened as well.
No one has time to tell you how wrong you are.
Well, you'll have to forgive me for not being old enough to remember Star Wars in cartoon form. Did this air before or after He-Man?
I was expecting you to say or SWAT cats, pizza cats.
Wicket the frickin' Ewok.
What's Pizza Cats? I need to know what this is.
Jody and the Pussycats spin-off. Endorsed by Domino's.
Was this before or after Chippendale's Rescue Rangers?
I love that show. I don't care what anybody says.
Sometimes some crimes go slipping through the cracks, but these two gumshoes. Lou, what's our little segment tonight?
Yes, tonight's lore segment, Lightsaber Combat, Part 3.
Starring Wicket the Ewok.
No, he becomes a target. Oh, sorry.
Yes!
That was me to me. Anyway, today we're going to pick up with developments during the Great Jedi Purge. With the Jedi Order essentially destroyed, lightsaber combat development slowed to a crawl, and most efforts were spearheaded by the Sith. However, the combat forms themselves would still be preserved in surviving records and holocrons, as well as among the Sith. Nonetheless, this time period saw the rise of Darth Vader. Now encumbered by his heavy life support armor, Vader was forced to customize and adjust his lightsaber technique to compensate. His resulting combat form included elements from numerous fighting forms the Jedi survivors favored. With this unique, though somewhat archaic fighting method, Vader became the most prolific Jedi hunter of the era. Vader's skills as a duelist would also carry over to several of his apprentices, such as Starkiller and Karis. Starkiller practiced Juyo and Sorasu, while favoring a Xian-style reverse grip, and bested such duelists as Casman Prime, Paratus, and Shaka T. Karis created the Trip-Zest fighting style, a combination of traditional, Skeetry aerial dueling form, and Form 7 lightsaber combat. Starkiller ultimately rebelled against his master, and eventually managed to defeat Vader before perishing in a confrontation with Palpatine. Starkiller's skill set would carry over to his clone, who was trained by Vader to wield dual blades. Vader would be defeated by this clone as well. This era also saw the emergence of the Emperor's Shadow Guard and the Imperial Saber Guard. The Shadow Guardsmen favored lightsaber pikes and typically operated as Palpatine's enforcers, while the Saber Guardsmen were provided with standard lightsabers and were provided with the prerequisite tutoring and strongly favored Xian-style reverse grips. Both groups were highly effective on the battlefield, though considerably less so against trained Jedi duelists, such as Starkiller or his clone. Arguably, the greatest lightsaber duelist of his age, Luke Skywalker was an absolute natural with the weapon. After only a single training session with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Skywalker was already highly competent at blast deflection, and he improved his technique over the next 3 years through pure improvisation. Within months, he was skilled enough to overcome Vader's former student Karis, a practitioner of Form 7 lightsaber combat, and creator of the Trip-Zest style. His capabilities were further developed during his training under Yoda, and Skywalker's resultant combat style was an instinctual mimicry of Vader's personalized variation on Form 5, with elements of Ataru and Sorasu included. By 3 years after the Battle of Yavin, he was capable enough to hold his own against Darth Vader, outperforming many of the fully trained Jedi Knights the Dark Lord had engaged in the past. Merely a year after this encounter, Skywalker bested Vader with a furious demonstration of his own technique. Redevelopment. Skywalker would eventually meet his match in Lumia, a Vader-trained Dark Jedi turned Sith acolyte. Lumia wielded a unique light whip against Luke, with lashes of both energy and metals. As Lumia noted, Luke's Jedi training only prepared him for a weapon that was either energy or solid, not one that was both. Luke would quickly adapt, constructing a Shoto lightsaber and wielding it as a secondary weapon, allowing him to engage the whip's energy tendrils with one blade while shredding the solid ones with the other. Skywalker would eventually develop to the point where he could compete with the resurrected Palpatine himself in duels, slicing off the Sith Lord's hand. For those who aren't familiar, think of the Shoto as the offhand lightsaber. Okay, it emits, or if you're familiar with KOTOR, it's the one that has a smaller blade that comes out. It's like a short sword type of lightsaber.
I like how you've never really made it big in Star Wars until somebody cut your hand off.
Yep, it's all about cutting the hands off. But anyway, when Luke set about reestablishing the Jedi Order, he was aided in the combat techniques by Cam Solusar, who was trained in lightsaber combat by Palpatine's dark side elite. And Corran Horn, a former member of Corellian security force who had training in various unarmed combat techniques. It should be noted that many of Skywalker's students were capable of standing toe-to-toe with him, no doubt due to their familiarity with his fighting methods. While Luke had been provided with formal training in Nataru by Master Yoda, passing this on to his own students, the loss of so much knowledge from the old Jedi Order, including many lightsaber combat techniques, forced Luke's new order to essentially start from scratch. Cam Solusar trained the students in the three rings of defense, while Corran Horn trained them in many of Corsax's combat techniques. The three forms of the Jedi Order were eventually created, each specializing in a different aspect of combat. The strong style focused on brute strength and offense, often at the expense of defense. The fast style focused on speed and precision, and was especially good for blast deflection. The medium style balanced out between the previous two, and oftentimes acted as a tutorial form, much like Shi-Cho for the old Jedi Order. One of the finest students of the Academy, Kyle Katarn, practiced all three, and eventually attained the rank of Jedi Battlemaster. When the seven forms of the original Order were rediscovered, Katarn went on to master GM-So as well. And just as an aside, folks, if you ever play Jedi Academy, you will see a clear demonstration of the strong, fast, and medium style, because that's actually what, Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what Jaden, will demonstrate. Those are the forms you choose when you level up your character during that game.
Well, as you level up, one thing that they do differently in that game is they tell you from the get-go, Kyle Katarn actually tells you, the Force has light and dark side abilities, but just because you practice dark side abilities doesn't make you attuned with the dark side. It's all on how you use them.
Right, and that's a whole nother session in itself we can talk about.
It was crazy, though, because I remember I was playing a light side character, but when they gave me that option, I picked this Force ability where I would actually freeze people in place like a Force stasis, only I was siphoning their life from them at the same time to heal myself. And I'm like, yeah, I feel light side.
Oh, yes. But anyway, folks, sorry for the distraction there.
I was just going to tell you one little side note, Lou. I'm glad that this game takes place in the Old Republic, because it would really suck if my forms were called fast style, medium style, strong style.
Yeah, I mean, and at least here, remember, they rediscovered the techniques. So it was great that they did so. Next point, over the next century and a half, the various lightsaber fighting forms would experience a few major changes, though many masterful duelists would rise to prominence over the years. The Imperial Knights would develop combat styles unique to their organization. The aggressive Praetoria Vonil and defensive Praetoria Ishu. However, these two forms were practiced in addition to classical lightsaber forms, and were designed to encourage and focus on teamwork rather than individual prowess. Basic moves and maneuvers. And this is a quote from a lightsaber combat tenet. Every feint, every dodge, every block is a trap to the unwary. So, the first topic they cover here, the body target zones. Many of the basics of lightsaber combat were established by the Shi-Cho lightsaber form, as it was the first form developed, and was specialized towards training individuals in the use of lightsabers. Attacks and parries in lightsaber combat are described by the body zones they target. In idealized sparring drills, most attacks are executed with horizontal swipes, while parries are carried out with vertical blocks meant to push the point of the enemy's blade away, with the exception of the attack 1 and parry 1, which are reversed. And unfortunately, folks, I do have a little diagram here of the zones they're talking about. It's got Anakin, and it's got the actual his body divided into the zones of attack and defense. Zone 1, the head. A Zone 1 attack consists of a vertical chop at the head, with the goal of vertically bisecting the opponent, and the corresponding parry is a horizontal block. A classic Zone 1 attack was typically preceded by a high guard position, though the Zone 4 parry position was also used for this purpose. The Zone 1 parry position was a horizontal guard, with the blade held at head height and angled across the body. It was not unheard of for a Zone 1 attack to be deflected aside by having a Zone 1 parry transition into a Zone 2-3 drop parry position. Zone 2, the right arm and side. Zone 2 attacks were horizontal side swipes, with the corresponding counter being a vertical parry position. Shicho sparring drills had the handle held at waist height with the blade extended upwards, though other combat forms employ drop parries with the handle held high. Assuming a humanoid duelist's arm was his dominant, any strikes against his weapon arm would correspond with Zone 2 attacks. Zone 3, the left arm and side. Zone 3 attacks are much the same as Zone 2, albeit the directions are reversed. Assuming a humanoid's duelist's left arm was his dominant, any strikes against his weapon arm would correspond with Zone 3 attacks. And Zone 4, the back. Zone 4 encompasses the entire midsection and torso, but refers specifically to the back. A successful Zone 4 attack is almost always fatal, as the classic parry 4 position is a drop parry position with the blade angled downwards behind the duelist's back. The classic attack 4 is a likely variation of the Zone 2 and 3 attacks. An alternate, albeit more awkward parry 4 position, has the hilt held behind the back at waist height, with the blade extended upwards. Zone 5 and 6. Zones 5 and 6 refer to the right and left leg respectively. Zone 5 and 6 attacks were low side swipes or slashes, while the corresponding defense positions were drop parries with the hilt held at the waist. And actually, one of the illustrations that I didn't include here is that they show that one scene where Anakin and Ben first encounter Count Dooku, and there's a classic attack where Ben attacks his legs, and Dooku does the old little jump over his blade to avoid the attack. So now on to the 3 rings of defense. The outer ring. The outer ring of defense relied on grand sweeping blows to attack at range. The wide attacks took long to deliver, but were very powerful. The outer ring consisted of 4 guard positions, all with the blade held diagonally: the upper right, upper left, lower right, and lower left. The middle ring. The middle ring of defense was designed to pick up quicker blows and block them, though it was also effective for blast deflection. The guard positions all featured the blade being held at right angles, with the upper and lower guards being horizontal, while the left and right positions being vertical. The inner ring. The inner ring was the last line of defense, dangerous to be attacking or defending from. It was proof against lunging attacks and relied on parries instead of blocks. It had only a single guard position, with the hilt covering the navel. Attacks would be deflected by angling the blade's tip and shunting them aside with the lower third of the blade, facilitating a swift counter towards the opponent's chest or abdomen. And this concludes Lightsaber Combat Part 3. Next week, we're going to pick up and go with the next topic, which will be marks of contact. And as always, I want to say thank you to Wikipedia, StarWars.com, Force.net, and other Star Wars fan sites out there for having all this great lore. Folks, if you enjoy the lore as much as I do, please visit these sites, go look at your favorite stuff, and enjoy.
And that brings us into the community holo feed. First up is the trivia question of the week, where each week we're going to post a trivia question into the YouTube video version of our show, where you can go right there, pull up the video, click the button, it'll take you right to the trivia question. And if for some reason the button doesn't work, it's at the very end of the video. And if you know the answer to Lou's question, send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com and include your character name, your faction, and the server that you play on, as well as the answer to the question, of course. And if there's more than one correct answer, we'll randomly draw a winner to win a cartel pack. And every time that you answer correctly, even if you're not that week's winner, we enter your name into a drawing for a much larger prize. And Lou, we had a winner this week, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And this week's winner, hopefully I'm not destroying their name. Sibel. All right, from my home server, Jedi Covenant. So,
It's still our home server, Luke.
Yeah.
We didn't leave.
Yeah, we didn't leave. We were just playing Shadowlands as well. So, congratulations to Sibel. And if you want to know what the answer is, of course you do. Last week's answer. The answer is... Dun, dun, dun. It's Kriya. Or for those more familiar with her name, Darth Treya. Treya. Lord of the Sith. From KOTOR 2. Lords of the Sith.
Otherwise known as the old blind bat. You just want to drive a lightsaber through, but they don't give you a lightsaber to do that for the first half of the game.
Yes, thank you, Fred, for that colorful description. But yes, that's correct. It's that.
There's my punish button.
That elderly Jedi.
I was so happy when her arm got cut off.
Oh, it was her hand.
Should have been her arm.
But yes,
I remember like her hand got cut off, and I didn't realize that at first, and I tried to give her another lightsaber. It's just like you can't equip a lightsaber with no hand.
Yep, I think the very first time I played the game, my first run through, I was like, "What the hell's going on?" I thought it was a glitch. I actually logged off I actually exited the game and went on to the forums. I said, "Is this a bug?" And like, no, you got a hand cut off. Like, oh, oops, okay.
Once again, with the hand getting cut off in Star Wars. I was kind of disappointed, like in the Jedi Knight story or the Sith Warrior story, or even the Consular or the Inquisitor. Nobody gets their hand cut off. Like, I was kind of expecting a point where your Jedi Knight gets his hand cut off and they actually reconstruct it.
What is that, Overseer Tremel? Don't you cut his hand off?
Spoilers, and only if you make a light side decision there.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
dark
right.
side, you just straight up kill him.
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about mine's being a spoiler.
Oh, it's on the starter planet anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone sees it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, even in the movies and the books, the comic graphic novels, lightsaber combatants will always end up, cutting something off their opponent eventually, like their hand, their arm, a leg. I mean, come on, look what happens in Attack of the Clones. What happens to Ben? But he gets the better of the deal. He only gets, stabbed in the leg and in the arm. Anakin gets his whole arm chopped off.
Well, I mean, look what happens to Anakin at the end of the third movie.
Right. I mean, and that's a good point too. Look what Ben did. Arguably the best swordsman. He cut off in one swipe. He cut off Anakin's legs and arms.
See, I really feel like if their destiny wasn't predetermined when that movie was written, I feel like Ben wouldn't have allowed Anakin to be consumed by the lava. I think he would have just lifted him up with the Force and been like, no. I'm not going to leave you, like, I know I just cut off your arms and legs, but I'm not going to leave you to be burned to death by lava.
Because if your amputations didn't hurt bad enough, wait till the lava gets you.
Right, and that's one thing too I didn't understand when they actually the very first time Revenge of the Sith came out, and you see that epic battle between the two of them, and then I was like, you know what, Ben, the most merciful thing to do as a Jedi Knight at that point, you just defeated your best friend because he's turned to the dark side. Do the right thing, give the man a swift death already. Just put him out of his misery. Don't let him burn to death, because you literally just did the worst thing. You walked away and you were going to let your friend suffer and die horribly.
But that wasn't what Jedi would have done. Like, they would have taken it. He would have taken him. Once he cut off his arms and legs, the guy's no threat anymore. He would have taken him someplace and tried to redeem him back to the light. And then if he did that and brought Anakin back to the light, then he would have got him all the prosthetic limbs that he needed.
All right, that's true. But then also, when you look at the lore and the other stories, knights have done, what they have come to the realization the right thing to do was execution. They had to kill their opponent because that was the only way to stop him.
But once you cut off his arms and legs, he stopped, Lou.
Right. Yeah, and
He's
you're
not
right.
doing anything else.
Exactly, which is why, to your point, either he should have just taken him back to the ship and try to rehabilitate him from that point forward, or you know what, just put the man out of his misery. Just end it.
That being his best friend, I just don't see, if their future wasn't already predetermined, I don't see him just watching his best friend get mauled over by lava.
Right.
I really feel like he would have used the Force and lifted him up and spared him from that.
And taken him back to, or at least hooked him up somewhere on, because Mustafar was a energy facility that had to have some facilities there for medical treatment. Just bring him there, dump him there, leave him there.
Especially because that whole prophecy thing, he believes this is supposed to be the chosen one. I don't see him just letting him die like that. I would see him trying to turn him back to the light. We need you now more than ever.
Right. To help fix, help restore what you destroyed. So.
Well, I think even at that point, even though he realized that Anakin turned to the dark side, I think Ben was smart enough to know that all along Palpatine was at the control of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he would have invested some serious thought into it, and the first 3 movies had never happened, I think he may have tried to save Anakin from that. I mean, if you think about it, it just seems way out of character for a Jedi. We see it all the time in the Old Republic. No matter how bad the people are, you always try to redeem them if you make the light side choice.
Right.
At the very worst, you tell them you're going to take them into custody.
Mm-hmm.
If they show no signs at all of remorse, redemption, anything like that, you're like, well, you have to come with me now. You arrest them or whatever. But I see what you guys mean.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like what would have happened if the script wasn't predetermined.
Right. And Kronos in the chat room brings up a good point. That would be a pretty cool side quest. Where if you are a Force user, whether you're an Inquisitor or a warrior, a consular or a knight, you get a limb severed.
Well, on my assassin, I use a double-bladed lightsaber. So if I got one hand cut off, what would I do?
Right, but the thing is, it would be a side quest, or maybe as part of the character story. Yeah, that was a price for your character's growth at that point in the story. Is the fact that you learned a lesson the hard way, or you realize, oh man, that person was better than I was at this time.
It would be just like when you're a cyborg. You wouldn't just have no arm. Your arm would actually be a mechanical arm.
Yeah, but he's talking about you have a chain quest to get a replacement.
Well, they wouldn't be able to do that. They'd have to put it in a side, like a straight-up cutscene. Like at the beginning of it, your arm gets cut off, and at the end of it, you have a cybernetic arm.
Right. Yeah, like during the initial cutscene, you have that limb severed, and then it fades. The mysterious fade to black that Byra has with you res. Do that, and now the next part of the cutscene is you actually in medbay in the Kolto tank.
And of course, whoever's telling you that you just got your arm replaced, it would have to be Nolan North. You'll be delighted to know that I've changed your arm. Why do you have the same voice that I do? I don't know.
Oh, jeez.
This was a very low-budget quest. I can see that. Thank you for my new arm. You are very much welcome.
Or if they had the voice actor for Malgus to be the one to tell you. Oh man, this is wrong. You've had your arm cut off.
Delighted to know that your arm got cut off when you were infiltrating the core drive yards. I've taken the liberty of replacing your arm with some spare parts that I had left over from HK-47 when people destroyed him when I was posing as the Emperor.
Oh wait, it's Kronos just in the chat. The ship droid. Master, here, I found your new hand.
Master, you'll be delighted to know that I found you a new hand. Please don't disassemble me with your new hand, Master. Literally, the ship droid is missing an arm, and you have a ship droid arm now.
Or the ship droid, like C2, what happened to your arm? Where's your arm? Or here comes, if you're a Jedi Knight, T7's hobbling on just one leg.
Oh my god.
That'd be so wrong. Oh, anyway.
Now, where were we? Paige, did you tell us what's going on in the SWTOR community yet?
I did not, but I'd be happy to. Check out these up-to-date podcast episodes. UntiniCast episode 173 is available at untinicast.com since October 30th. The Unnamed SWTOR podcast episode 58 posted on October 29th and can be found at gadokgaming.com. Old Republic Radio episode 84 on October 28th, available on iTunes. Healing SWTOR released another episode on October 30th to iTunes. And the Bad Feeling Podcast, episode 38, posted on October 30th to iTunes and badfeelingpodcast.com. Be warned, that is an explicit podcast. Also follow Madmar at SWTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWTOR community. If you'd like to have your podcast listed in this segment, send us an email at starwarsbeyond@gmail.com.
It'd be great, Lou.
What's
That
that?
actually happened and your arm got lobbed off and you got the ship droid's arm. Like, instead of having a glove slot, you get a part slot.
Or like what Chris and I were talking about. If you lose a leg, you get T7's leg if you're a Jedi Knight.
Oh my god. Instead of legs, you just got wheels.
You got that leg wheel that they use.
Oh my gosh. And again, it's Darth Magus.
We can rebuild him. I don't want to spend a lot of credits, though. Grab an extra ship droid. Let's see what we can do. Pass me the masking tape.
Oh my god, that'd be too funny.
Oh my god. Like, I made this character as a human, and by the time it's all said and done, I'm like a cyborg. That would be something neat if changing your character's appearance didn't actually cost cartel coins. It'd be neat if you could just switch to a cyborg at certain parts in your class story.
Yeah.
You could be like that stupid Droid guy and just become more and more of a cyborg every time you're seen. Get a whole bunch of scars and cybernetics as your character's advancing through their life.
That would make a lot of sense, especially for the trooper, since the trooper gets, in the midst of combat all the time, all the explosions getting shot at. Earn some scars along the way. That'd be funny.
So I'm going to tell people how they can get a hold of us if they still want to. You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. Or send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at StarWarsBeyond. You can tweet me at SithLordKorv, Korv. You can tweet Lou at GamerGuy11B. And you can tweet Paige at Asaphiry, ASAPHIRY. And Paige, what are your final thoughts for tonight?
My final thoughts are, I'm kind of glad the Radical event is gone, but I would like to see them bring in something else, like the Green event.
Well, as for me, I'm glad that Eric actually released the live stream schedule for the changes to the classes, or at least the introduce to disciplines. So that is something I'm looking forward to, and I definitely will make time to watch those because we all have a vested interest in seeing what they're doing to the classes. Because at this point, I think we all have at least one character in each class anyway, so I think it's important for all of us to take a look at and see what's coming so we're not blindsided when 3.0 hits.
And as my final thought, I hope in 3.0 that class-specific storyline involves every single class getting a different limb amputated and replaced with a droid part. Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast made in association with NSG Productions. And now it's time to say goodnight.
Good night, listeners.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. See you all again next time.
Don't worry, guys. C2N2 has plenty of parts to give away.
You've served your purpose.
Beyond the Stars trivia question for the week of November 3rd, 2014. First clue. I was found during my childhood years at a state-sponsored program by my future master. Second clue. I was trained in the arts of intelligence and espionage for a daring mission that would nearly be the death of me. Third clue. During my academy years, I would train at night to hone my natural gifts and talents. Fourth clue. Saved by my master, nearly crippled and disfigured, over time, my look and appearance would be a reflection of him. Fifth and final clue. My personal weapon was of ancient and exotic design, one which defied conventional fighting methods since it wasn't straight or of standard length. Who am I? Good luck, everyone. Remember, send your answer to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. Please include your character name, what faction you play on, and what server you're on. Again, good luck!